So what will be your common factor for this? Negative 0.1, right? So I'm going to have to divide every term by negative 0.1. There's no letters that is common. It's just the number that's common. So that's going to be negative 0.1 d squared minus 5d minus 6. Is that what you all got?
Yeah.
When you factor out the negative 0.1?
Why put one? I got one whole square.
What the heck? What?
1d squared or d squared is the same thing.
So I'm allowed to put 1D.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got it, yeah.
Okay? Now, you're looking for two numbers. They have to multiply to negative 6
Negative 6.
and add to negative 5.
Negative 6 plus 1.
If you look here, both of them are negative. B and C are negative. So the large number has to be negative and the small number has to be positive. So what multiplied to negative 6? 1 and negative 6. What else? Negative 3 and 2. Right? If I add negative 6 and 1, it gives me negative 5. But if I add negative 3 and 2, it's going to give me negative 1. So this is not an option. Okay? So my factors are negative 6 and 1. So I can factor this. So that's a horizontal distance. So what is the zeros of this relation? Negative 1 and 6. You remember that you set each bracket to a 0? Right? And then you set this bracket to 0. So these are your two zeros. So I'm standing right here. The ball is right in front of me. And it's at a height of 0.6, and I'm kicking it up. It's reaching a maximum, and then it's coming back down and hitting back the ground. Right? Eyes on me. Right? So, if we look at this, the distance is negative 1. What does it mean that the distance is negative 1? The distance D is the horizontal distance from the kicker. Anything in front of me is positive. Where would negative 1?
Behind you?
Behind me. Does it make sense that the ball is behind me?
Yeah, it does. Well,
If it was with another player. Right?
it depends. Like when you kick the ball, you put your foot back so the ball's going past the 0 line, and then you kick it and it goes forward again.
But I'm not kicking the ball backward, right? I'm kicking the ball
Your legs
forward.
moving up. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So, distance of negative 1 is not going to count in this case. Okay? Because distance of negative 1 is where the ball was behind me. Okay? So we're going to only count distance at 6 meters away from me. Okay? Same with time. When we're talking about time sometimes, if your answer is negative, you're going to have to ignore that answer. Because time cannot be negative. Okay? So sometimes we have to ignore some of our answers. So let's answer this. What do the zeros mean in the context of this relation?
The distance from the kicker?
Yeah, that's correct. When the ball hit the ground. Right? The distance from the kicker when the ball hit the ground.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's write this. So the negative 0 is disregarded or discarded. Says distance discarded.
Okay. Discarded?
Yeah, you discarded. And D equals 6 represents where the ball horizontal distance where the ball hit. So the ball is going to hit the ground 6 meters away from the player. That's what it means, right? Okay. The arc of a small bridge over a river can be modeled by the equation y equals negative 2x squared plus 4x plus 6, where x is the distance in meters from the edge of the river, and y is the height above the ground, also in meters. What are the zeros and what do they represent? So, the arc of a small suspension bridge over a river can be modeled by the equation this. So, if I'm going to graph this, it's going to look like this, correct? Yeah? So the bridge is this. So this is my bridge. Why did I start here? Why did I start here? And I did not start right here.
Because of y.
What's the y-intercept?
6.
The y-intercept is 6.
Yeah.
Okay. So the y-intercept is 6, right? So that's why I graphed it this way. Why did I graph it open down?
The negative with the
The A value is negative.
brain charge.
And it's a Make sense? So this is a sketch. I sketched it for you. I'm looking for the zeros of this. Now y represents what? Y represents the height of the bridge above the ground. So this is y. So it's the height over the bridge. And then x represents the distance from the edge of the river. Okay. Now, the question is asking you to find the zeros. What form do you have to put it in?
Vertex. Oh, it's factor.
Factor. The only time you put it in the vertex form if you're looking for the vertex or the optimal value.
Yeah,
Okay? So, what's the first thing you have to ask yourself?
Factor.
Greatest common factor, which is?
4. 2.
Negative 2.
2. Yeah.
Are we okay up to this point?
Yeah. You good.
Okay.
Gucci.
What are we looking for?
something that adds to three, I mean, something that multiplies to three and adds to two.
I multiply to negative 3 and add to negative 2.
Is it negative?
The negatives are very important,
Yeah.
right?
Negative is positive one? Huh?
Negative 3 and positive 1.
Yeah, negative 3 positive 1.
Okay, remember you have this for a reason, right? So both B and C are negative, so my large number is negative 3 and my small number is going to be 1. So multiply to negative 3, add to negative 2. What multiplies to 3? There's not much that multiplies to 3. It's only 3 and 1,
3 and 1.
right? That's the only thing that multiplies to 3. Now the question is, the large number has a negative in front of it, okay? The small number is going to stay positive.
So it's x equals negative two.
Are we okay with this? So, what are your zeros?
Three and one. Negative and one.
No.
What?
What's the zero here?
Positive 3.
Positive 3.
Yeah.
What's the zero here?
Negative. It was the opposite.
Because you bring it over, it becomes a plus, negative. Okay, so let's go back to my sketch. So this is the edge of the river, right? So the bridge is gonna suspend to 1. Right here is negative 1, right? And right here is 3, right? So the bridge in this case is suspending 1 to the left, 1 to the right, if you want, of the edge of the river, and 3 meters to the left. Okay? Now, how long is the bridge? 4.
Why?
Because it's from here
Oh.
to here. Okay, so let's just write this. So in this case, I took the negative 1. I did not discard it, right?
Did I say the edge?
Which one?
The top edge.
Edge of the bridge, yep.